Have you ever wanted to play a lewd dating sim that features your own customizable waifu? Well, that's totally something you can do. You don't even need hardcore modeling skills, just a bit of free time and patience. This is how to make your own 3D waifu. Things you will need. The main thing you're going to need is a game called Koikatsu Party on Steam. It's $60, so if you want to fork that over, then that's up to you, but I say it's very much worth it. You'll also need to install this mod pack compiled by Manly Marco called HF Patch. It adds many mods into the game featuring custom models, settings, and gameplay options. So anyway, let's get started with this. What you want to do is from the main menu go into Kara Maker Female. And you will be brought to this screen right here. So the main thrust of Koikatsu Party / Koikatsu, whatever you want to call it, is the character maker that you can pretty much customize every conceivable aspect of your character from top to bottom without restriction. There's ways around almost anything. So to give you an example, I have created Daisy from Mario in Koikatsu. Now, this is my best efforts to kind of create my own version of her. So as you notice that she's not exactly perfect on model for what the games look like, but I mean she's close enough to where I am happy with it. And actually, you can create many different outfits for one character, like this. Yep. So the only limit is how much work you're willing to put in to bend the game to your will, pretty much. Starting out, I would say try to do maybe an anime character that would be a little bit more fitting for what the game actually is going for in terms of style and clothing options. Let's choose a character to try to make in this model editor. Alright, so I'm back, and I've decided that we're gonna go with Misa from Death Note. So let's start with I guess the hair would be the biggest thing. So let's obviously choose the right color, blonde, obviously. So we want to try to get it, obviously it's not yellow, so we kind of need a little bit paler, maybe a little darker, something close. And obviously the style needs to match, so okay. So here's a approximate hairstyle I found that sort of matches Misa's appearance. Now, you could go more in depth with this, but for the purpose of this kind of beginner-ish tutorial, here, I keep forgetting, I gotta scooch her over. Okay. So, yeah, for the purpose of this beginner-ish tutorial, we will just leave it at this. I think the hairstyle matches pretty closely. So, next thing we do is the face, obviously. So what we want to do is get the eyes. I think the eyes are the most important part right now. What I've noticed about this character is actually Misa has kind of small eyes in for an anime character. So I don't want to go too in depth for this beginner tutorial. So we'll just focus on the main things like eye color and things like that. Now, the character does start out with an eyeliner color. I don't really think Misa's eyeliner is yellow, so I think it's just black would be fine. So her eyes are kind of dark brownish. You look at her eyes, and actually, yeah, they are kind of just brownish. So we'll go with that. So we go to iris, and we get the color somewhere in the brown area, so it's in the orange zone. Brown is just dark orange, in case you didn't notice. And so then, actually, a good rule of thumb is that the bottom gradient of the eye is brighter than the top, which kind of makes the eye look a little bit more, I guess, 3D, but also like puppy dog eye kind of look, which is what you want most of the time, I would say. So the top is kind of darker than the bottom, like that. There you go. So obviously we have to position them correctly, so we want to make sure that the width and height are correct. So we want oh, this is iris width. What we want is the generalized eye width and height. So it's like that kind of, and it's I think a bit closer together on the face. Maybe a little bit less small. I mean, it's really up to you when you're making your character how accurate you want to be and how accurate you need to be. So we take the height, not the height, but the vertical position. That's what it would be. Okay. So we kind of want to match it up a little bit more, like something like that, maybe. That should be fine. Okay. And if you notice, her face shape is a little bit off from Misa's. So what we can do is actually, now there's a way you can do this, like right here, jaw width. We can pull it out. So then if you notice as well, if we do somewhat of a similar angle here, her nose needs to come out as a little bit more as well. So we go into the nose section. The nose in Koikatsu is kind of fixed in the center of the face. What you can do is kind of change the tip's vertical position, but you can't change the nose base. You can't put the nose up here or down here, or it has to stay right there. So if you look at this, if you see where the nose is right here, you can move the tip up and down, but the base stays. So the nose bridge height would probably be a little bit more on the generous side, but obviously with this character creator, the nose is limited to this crescent shape. So we can work with it and try to get it as close as possible. So we can have this nose type here, which will help us kind of modify this a little bit to get us where we want to go. Obviously, you don't want to go too crazy because it starts to look uncanny as all heck. I feel that this comes close. This comes somewhat close. Now, I think her eyes are even a bit more up on her head than we are making them here, possibly. Now you want to be careful not to dip into the uncanny valley too much. So just take a step back, take a look at it every once in a while just to see if it still looks human. I think what we want to do is change the eyebrows to be behind the hair and maybe change what type they are. Let's pull this reference back over. So what we can do is take the eyebrow, so you can actually change whether or not the eyebrow shows through the hair. You can do, there's actually a setting for this in the game itself that you can modify. We can just do this. So let's make it a blonde eyebrow, like the picture. Maybe not too much. And then we can just choose a better fit. So what we can do is take the eyebrow and then move it to be in the right spot. Maybe change the angle a little bit. Looking at this again, I do definitely think that the nostrils kind of are part of her face. So let me see if I can make those work. This could potentially work. If you see on the picture, we'll have to come back to it and see. Next is the mouth. So big difference you notice is that there's no lipstick on her. So that is the first thing I'm going to try to do. So let's see, just kind of normal shape here. We need a little bit more, something like this. There you go. So it's more of a dark red. She's definitely a goth GF if I ever saw one. So yeah, there we go. Something like that should be fine. So we can go to mouth. We can add some gloss on the lower lip. Let's see. Another thing I'm noticing here is the head is maybe a little bit longer than what we see here. What we want is to lengthen, maybe just lengthen the head a little bit. So let's lengthen the head. So what we can do is we can go to the head, and actually this is part of the HF patch, is that you can split your scale sliders into the XYZ dimensions, which will let you scale something in the Y dimension without affecting the X and Z dimension, which will let you increase the height of her head without increasing the width or the depth, which is what we're after right here. So I'm just going to see what happens when we do this. This might end up looking weird, but if we just possibly just slightly increase. Okay, so again, we pull back to see if it still looks real normal. She might have blue eyes in this picture and brown eyes in this picture, but I think I like the brown eyes better. I actually can't tell. Maybe one of these is fan art, I don't know. We could probably afford to go into cheeks and increase maybe cheek width just a bit. The more you work with this software, the more you're gonna become familiar with what each of the sliders does. So I just encourage you to experiment and keep working at it, keep familiarizing yourself with it so that you can kind of make what you're after. So the next thing I want to do is we could take the head, and so upper head, we can squeeze it in a little bit with the X scale. Now we can go maybe 96%. To enable the XYZ sliders, you just click the little button here. I think it's time to move on to the outfit. So let's see. Oh yes, we can also change the color of the accessory, which is probably like a dark red, more so. All right, and we can start looking at this outfit design. So we can start to look at this and start trying to model after it. So what we want is a dress that is kind of a tank top at the top. So we could try to work with this possibly and maybe color it more of a blackish color, and then try to make a skirt, or we could see if there's a closer match. All right, I've decided that what we're gonna do is take this shirt and then add a skirt under it in a minute that matches the colors a little bit closer. But what we can do with this shirt is add a bit more of a shine to it. As you can see, it's got a little bit of a shine going on in that picture. So what we can do is take the material editor, which is available on almost any object in the game, and it lets you modify how the materials on the model actually look. So what we can do is, I know there's a lot of things going on here, but what I want you to focus on is this specular color. So its alpha is 0 by default, which just makes it invisible. If we turn it to 1, nothing should happen yet, but if we go into here and we go into specular power, which is how much shiny reflection is coming off of this, we turn it up and it becomes a little bit shinier, as you can see. So we can make it super shiny to make it look like it's almost wet, or we could pull it back to where it's kind of a dull, just kind of shine there. So that's sort of, I feel like, what's going on there with that part of the picture. Now we can obviously try to modify the texture if we wanted to add the little corset like laces there, but that we can do that on a different tutorial. For now, we want to focus on the basics to get you out there making your own characters. All right, so then what we can do is take the bottom here, and we're going to modify this to have the right colors and the right shape. So it's kind of just a free form skirt, right? Less of a pleated thing. This is the base we're going to work with. We're going to change some of the patterns here. We don't really need this. What we want is the color to be black, obviously. Less saturation. So what we can do with this, let's see if we can get it approximately the same color. Something like that. We're gonna add the same. Well, actually, it's not quite the same, is it? On the on this, so we're gonna do less of a specular, but we're still gonna add it. So turn that specular color alpha to 1, and then we just go down to specular power. Just add a bit, not too much. All right. So an issue here is that the red is very prominent in that outfit. So let's see if there's a skirt that has 3 colors on it. Okay, here's something I found. Wedding dress skirt appears to have an inside that can be colored, so that's very close to what we see up top on the skirt up here. The only issue is that there should be a stripe coming down along the sides here, but we can add that with texturing later when we want to go more in depth with texturing, and I can actually show you that in a separate tutorial. But for now, this is going to work. So what we want to do is actually make the dress kind of even throughout, maybe even a little bit outward. You know what I mean? To where it's kind of flares up a little bit. And is less kind of droopy. So what we can do is in the skirt scale tab, you can modify a whole bunch of different things. Now what I want to do right here is turn off the split XYZ just to make things easier to see. So what you can do is take each and every side of the skirt, each and every side, and modify its properties individually. So what we want to do is probably take the offset, or maybe the scale, something like this. What we can do is take the split XYZ and let's see, is there a collision scale? That would be great. So okay, in order to change the skirts flaring out, we're going to probably want to change the collision scale for the lower body. Now I'm trying to stay YouTube friendly here, so I might have to cut some things out, but this looks fine. So let's take the whole skirt scale and actually we can bring it whoa. We take the whole skirt scale and bring it down a little bit, actually. And what we want to do is take the skirt front scale, bring it up. And then the front side scale, bring that up. And maybe the side scale, bring that down. See, it's unfortunate how this was shaped, because it's making it kind of difficult to make this the right shape. If we look here, we can try maybe to find something that will be a little bit better. Hey, would you look at what I found? I found almost exactly the outfit that she was wearing. So we have the corset, right? We can turn that to the sort of blackish color. And then we have this red here, which obviously it's not, you know, red in the same places that it should be, but I would say that's perfectly fine. Honestly, you don't have to recreate the exact design in order to get it pretty much close to where it needs to be. One more thing I would add is probably the necklace and the choker. One more thing I also want to do is take and remove this so that it doesn't interfere with the top here. In accessories, there should be some for neck. So if we can find a good just choker accessory, that would be fine. Like right there. There you go. Let me turn that off. Let's take a look at her face again. Yeah, that's pretty close. I'd say that's pretty close. So what we can also do is on the sides here, we need the gloves, the arm length gloves. So that's easy enough to add. All right, so glove type. Probably just the long gloves, right? Or something like laced gloves. Doesn't need to be perfect. Doesn't need to match spot on. Just be enough to where you can tell. So then we just take the tops there, make it black. Maybe make this gray a little bit darker, like that. Or actually, what if we made this the dark part and made the rest just a little bit lighter, like that? So that's part of her done. We also need the stockings, right? Let's actually remove the socks, because that's weird. Keeping with theme here, why don't we add this here? Now, the edges of this are clipping through, so I do want to take this off. Okay. So obviously we don't see the shoes of this outfit, but we could probably pick out some good ones. I would think that it would be a heels kind of thing. Make them black or maybe red, blackish red. In the white, we just make it black. And we can do that the same here. So what we can do is just take the color, make sure we know what the color is, 07642. We go over here, look for middle heel pumps again. Where did they go? There they are. Okay, then the color 07642, and then we just have regular black on the bottom. Okay, and we have created somewhat. I think we should tweak her eyes, but we have created Misa in Koikatsu. And actually, here, let me just fix her eyes real quick. I think they need to be just a little bit smaller, and the nose could possibly be a little bit bigger. Not too big. If you look at the actual nose part, we probably don't want to change that. We could probably choose a texture that's bigger though. Is that okay? That's kind of okay. But yeah. Okay, we have effectively created Misa in Koikatsu. I can't think of anything else to add. Oh, one last thing I think we should add is the necklace. I think I don't want her head to be quite so tall, so we can take the head shape. 106, let's try 103. There we go, a little bit better. We can also adjust maybe the eye depth, which is the forward or backward position. So let's do like 30. See what that looks like. That's a little bit better. Yeah. Okay. So now I think it's about to the point where I like it. From this point, we can actually name her in here. Actually, there we could just give it her full name from the show. I can take the image and just do that. All right. And she doesn't. Oh yeah, she does have a nickname, doesn't she? There you go. And so the personality we can actually change. So cool thing about Koikatsu is there's so many different voice actors you can have here, and they all have different sounds to them. So you could somewhat get close to, I think, how she sounded in the show. So I think it's a little bit more like maybe simple. That's very loud, but anyway. Yeah, that's a little bit close. I think we could probably find something better, but I'm not really trying to perfect this right now, as of right now. Let's see, what else can we do? We can author history. It doesn't matter. Voice pitch. I wouldn't mess much with voice pitch because it could get some really weird results. I don't know how blood type and birthday come into account, but there they are. Collab activities. This is so if you're gonna play the visual novel portion of this game, these are some settings that are important. Obviously, you can enable or disable that. And then you have all of these preferences options here for the H scenes. So then Then we have some personality options. Likes animals, probably. Likes to eat, sure. Likes to cook, probably not. I'm guessing. Does exercise, probably not. Does studies, no, I wouldn't say. Yes, is fashionable. Drinks black coffee, probably not. Spicy food, I would guess not. Like sweets, I would guess so. So then we go to traits, you know, stuff like that. Some stuff like that. Maybe. Yeah, we'll just. There we go. Okay. So yeah, I think that's about it. So I did not dive into changing body type, like shape, size, you know, all the curves and curls and stuff. That's something that I will probably jump into at some point to show you. But for now, this was just basic character creation from like anime or whatnot, just to kind of get you started. So yeah, with this, I hope you will be able to pick maybe one of your favorite anime characters and create a character in the software from that. We can just do this. With that, we can just save. And here comes the fun part. You can actually, with your character creator, you can make your own kind of pose. So on the side here, we can choose a pose for the card. So we can just flip through them, see what we like. What's something that looks like her? I mean, most of these would probably fit. Looking for something that's kind of flamboyant. I feel like that's fine right here. This is fine. Okay, so then we have her gazing at the camera, as you see, which is fine. What we can do is change her facial expression. So we can go for the mouth pattern, something like smiling, happy, broad. So you can. I like to use this cartoony smile a lot for Daisy at least, but I think for this we could do smiling, mouth open. It doesn't have to be. And maybe with the eye pattern, you can have closed eyes. Smiling eyes is going to have the cheeks come in a little bit, so that when you look down, it's like, if you notice, just a little bit more happy-go-lucky looking. So then you can have, you know, this is the smiling closed eyes, and this is the regular closed eyes. So yeah, probably want to disable blinking for this picture. And then eyebrow pattern, you know, you got angry, you got worried, you got bored. Let's just go default. So then, yeah, we have this pose. I mean, I like to pose maybe from the torso up, just so you can have a good picture of her face. So we do something like this, possibly. You can also adjust the lighting if you want, you know, find a good angle. I think this angle's fine though. And then here, so yeah, so what you can actually do is with this image background, you can change what the background of this picture here is. This is the default that you're going to find when you load up the game, so I guess that's fine for this. There you go. So that's going to be on their character card profile when you're actually in the visual novel part of the game. Yeah, Misa is finished. Save there. And so yeah, so it does offer a lot of freedom. We haven't even scratched the surface of like the different modifications you can do. So I know this the necklace is kind of messed up. Whatever, doesn't matter. Actually, that's a bad way to do the necklace. We'll probably just take that off for now. We'll figure that out later. So yeah, there's a lot more you can go into depth on. We could probably change this red to be more close to the picture. We can change the whole outfit to be more close to the picture, add the white stripe, maybe make this red part less see-through. I have no clue. We might be able to do that. and maybe make the hair a little bit more popping out, you know, so that it's less just like stuck on the side. But for now, I think this is acceptable. This is very good. You can actually take her into the game and completely, you know, do what you will, and it'll work fine. I've been dragging this out long enough, so let's just say for now, bye bye. I'll see you in the next tutorial.